So the thing about it is, we talked about Hendon Hooker's return, and they took Hooker before Martin, actually. So the other way around. We both need a mulligan here, it's early. Anyway, the point is, this topic came up yesterday, and everybody was calling and talking about Hendon Hooker's future with the Lions. The Lions right now are positioned very well to win the division. They're positioned very well to make the playoffs. I think what's more relevant is, can Hendon Hooker work his way into the backup quarterback spot this year? And I don't expect it Sunday, okay? Let me be clear about that. But Teddy Bridgewater's probably not going to play. So Teddy Bridgewater is probably just going to be taking reps in practice, just like Hendon Hooker. And if Hendon Hooker is now cleared to practice and along the lines of being 100%, can Hendon Hooker become the backup quarterback this year? Now, you might not care until the moment Jared Goff limps off the field in one of those Minnesota games, right? I mean, if that possibly happens, and we're talking 5-6 weeks from now, can Hendon Hooker do enough in practice where he unseats Teddy Bridgewater as the backup? I'm more in the here and the now, and I kind of hope, as it pertains to this conversation, I like him too. You like him more. I want to see this guy push Bridgewater to be the backup. And this is one of those weird topics because you don't want to ever see the backup.
No.
You don't want to ever see the backup. You want things to be going so smoothly that this year, and that quarterback to be upright and healthy the rest of the way. But I guess if I were in that room, or if I were sitting down with Hendon Hooker and talking about, all right, we're going to get you up to speed as quickly as we can here, and we want you to push Teddy. We want you to push Teddy this season to be the backup quarterback. Because, I mean, would you feel, I guess, by definition, if he supplants Teddy Bridgewater as the backup, that means they think he's a better option to win him a football game. But that would be awfully encouraging. Now, the question is the timeline too short? Can he win this spot in the last 5 weeks of the season? Is the timeline too short? Kang, what do you think? Is there any way he impacts this year?
I highly doubt it. I don't think so. I think actually there's a chance that after this 21-day window, he's back to IR or whatever, I mean, I think this is just so he can move around, practice, do things, football-wise with the team instead of just being on the sidelines or whatever. I think they signed Teddy Bridgewater for a reason. He is the veteran guy that's been in this league, that's played games, that's started games, that's won games, that if anything happens to Goff, that's the guy you go to. And Hendon Hooker, you put back in the glass case. You keep him pristine for the next offseason.
That video that surfaced yesterday of him practicing,
right?
I have to admit, like in my own, I'm a big Goff guy, okay? But just watching him practice doesn't impact my belief in Jared Goff. But I will say the proportion of my level of excitement to what my level of excitement should be for the 4 plays we watched him run
right.
was way distorted.
Wow.
I shouldn't have cared. I was like, oh, this is fun to watch, when he didn't really do anything.
No, I mean, one of the videos is him just handing the ball off.
I know.
And the other one is there was one of him literally throwing the ball 5 yards, playing catch with somebody. Mm-hmm. And the first one is the only one that's even salient, and it's not even that, because he's like maneuvering through these running obstacles and then throws it into a net, and he just drills it in the center of the net, and it comes bouncing out. Yeah, I'm excited about him because of what I saw. My eyes saw of Hendon Hooker before I got hurt, God, he was good. And one of the things that made him so good, you think back to that year with Tennessee, and he was hooking up with Jalen Hyatt all the time.
Yep.
On all these deep passes,
a lot of deep balls.
They were the most perfect passes you would see. And Lions fans were like watching Jared Goff play, and he's had some issues with connecting with the receivers on deep passes like that. And for Hendon Hooker, it was just time after time finding his guy. And look, there's a major difference, college to the NFL. But it's just one thing that I really like to see him doing. He was doing with Jalen Hyatt all day long. Can only imagine what it would look like in practice if he's got that opportunity in practice to see him throw into Jamison Williams, and then does that translate to the game? Add to that he is nimble. He had over 1,000 yards rushing in his last 2 years at Tennessee, 600 one year and over 400 the next year, along with 10 rushing touchdowns. The guy's mobile, and he can make some things happen.
I go back to, why do you think the Lions or Brad Holmes drafted Hendon Hooker in the 3rd round? Everything they says points to the fact that they believe in Jared Goff when no one else did, or when a lot of people didn't, right? They believed he could be the guy. The quote everyone keeps saying the last couple of days is, it's a lot easier to get worse at quarterback than get better. And they have a good quarterback. If not, he's played elite many times this year. But they still went out and got Hendon Hooker. I asked, why is that? Because they wanted just more talent in the quarterback room? Did they wanted a backup? They wanted a future starter? What was the purpose? What was the reasoning behind that?
Yeah, and I think because it's an asset whether you have a quarterback or not. I think you always want a backup that you think you can win with. And this was their, at worst, in their view, their long-term backup. And if he's way better than that and deserves more playing time, then they can make a decision. And that decision might be keep Jared Goff and you've got a huge commodity to trade, or move on from Jared Goff and you keep Hendon Hooker. I think those are the long-term thoughts. But one of the most underrated, undervalued, underappreciated, under-talked about, and over-needed positions in sports is backup quarterback, because your starters just get hurt.